welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachel
and Neal Young. So we're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachel and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the God. Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that?
Hey!
Hey!
Rach, who do you love?
HD Photo Hub.
Today's episode is brought to you by HD Photo Hub.
The platform real estate photographers trust.
And so do we, because Rach and I both use it on a daily basis. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Chickadee, check it before you wreck it. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Shooting the Shit with Rachel and Neal Young. And we're excited to be chatting with you old school style, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, Rach and me shooting the shit.
Yeah, we don't have any guests. We've had so many guests on, Neal, since we did the Power Team series over the summer. And then we've interviewed some more teams. And now it's just you and me. It feels like it's back to the good old days. We just BS and shoot the shit. It's nice.
Yeah, it's fun having the guests too, but it's nice to just like, let's just talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Exactly. No outline, just go off the
right?
cuff. No,
Off
we
the
have an
cuff.
outline. We do have a topic today that we're going to bring to you, which we are both pretty passionate and excited about, and it is relationships. And this is stratospheric success in your business. So we are going to talk about how having good relationships, building good relationships, and being a good human can come back tenfold. So the more you give, the more you will get. And we are going to talk about a book that I read once, listened to twice, listened to it again, and then told Neal, you got to listen to this book.
Yeah.
And yeah, we actually recorded this episode last week. And it was just kind of terrible and all over the place. And Neal hadn't listened to the book yet. And so he was like, I'm like, Neal, okay. And Neal was like, listen to that episode. Let me know if it sounds okay. Blah, blah, blah. I just don't feel good about it. And I was like, I have a deal for you. If you read this book, listen to this book on Audible this week, let's re-record it next Thursday.
Yes.
And it'll be way better. And then you can put in more of your like educated 2 cents.
Yeah, because I was like, Rach, you're running the show on this. A lot of this book is general principles. It's not earth shattering, but there's a way that they go into it and give you some examples, and you'll have to read the book as well. We're going to do our best just to get you hooked and excited about it, but you're still going to have to go listen to the book or read the book. We both listen in the car, but there's a lot of these cool core principles that are
What's the book called? We haven't even said the name of the book.
Oh, okay. Back it up. All right.
Okay. The name
Where
of the
did
book
we start?
is this is good. We'll just keep going. We're so out of practice, you guys. It's been a long time, so just bear with us here. It's called The Go-Givers. It's a great book. Right, Neal? The Go-Givers. With an S
Is
on
that
it?
the book you read? I read a different one.
Oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me, Neal. Cancel the podcast. It's over.
No. Yeah. No, it's called The Go-Givers. And okay, I got to tell you up front though. So I got to tell you up front, The Go-Givers, it sounds like cheesy, right? And the first couple minutes, they're like, what's it like the foreword and all that, they're reading that. And I was kind of like, oh, it sounds cheesy, whatever, but just give it a couple minutes to get into it. And it's a story that brings you along through these whole principles, these 5 principles of stratospheric success. Okay.
Yes.
And it's really great. And it just gets better and better. And it really actually motivated me. I'm feeling better this week than I was last week.
Yay. Oh my gosh. I was hoping that would happen because you were kind of like down in the dumps last week. And I was like, oh, he needs to listen to this book because it'll feel good. Like it's a fun read. It's interesting. It's an easy read. It's like 3.5 hours on Audible. It's quick, maybe 4. Yeah. It's a great book. Yeah. I'm glad to hear you're doing better.
Yeah.
Now.
So
awesome.
A couple days of going to shoots and you'll be through it. Yeah. No. So it's been really good and just kind of help sort of just, I don't know, wake me up again. So it's been good. When did you listen to it, Rach? How long ago?
So over the summer,
okay.
I listened to, oh gosh, let me look him up. So I first heard and found this book. I was listening to the Upmarket podcast, the other best, well, maybe the second best real estate photography podcast out there. Anyways, they're great. But anyways, I was listening to their podcast and they interview all of the people that are going to be, or most of the people that are going to PMRE, the Photo Media Real Estate Conference that's in Las Vegas every year. And one of the guys that was on their podcast was Casey Jones, and he put on a workshop and he was talking about like relationships and mindset and stuff. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't go to it, but he brought up that book and I was like, ooh, I got to read that. So I listened to it on Audible and loved it so much that I bought the book and I read it while hanging in a hammock on an island in Idaho when we were camping, and read the book. And then on the way home from our camping trip, I told my husband, I'm like, you got to listen to this book. Like we had a 4.5 hour drive. I'm like, we can listen to the whole thing on the way home. So we did, and we both really enjoyed it. And that was in, August, I think, of this year. And then I just told Neal about it, and said we were going to do the podcast on it. So I tried to listen to it again, and I only listened to like maybe half of it because I just got busy, and I have a crazy monkey brain that can't stay focused on anything for very long because too much going on. Just kidding. So anyways,
and all I can think of right now, Rachel, is the fact that you just say an island in Idaho.
I did. I know.
We're going somewhere tropical. Where's that? To an island? Where? Idaho.
And we got smoked out. There was forest fires everywhere and it was blowing in. So it was like, we couldn't even breathe. It was awful. And there was bees, like so many bees. I've never seen so many bees in my life. Everybody got stung.
What?
Yeah, it was
awful. This is the worst island you can go to, everyone. Do not go.
Don't go to an island in Idaho. It's not glamorous.
It's not where you want to go.
Yeah, it was on a lake. So anyways, yeah, it was, we had a boat. We had to take a boat to the island and set up camp. We had no power. And I don't really like camping, to be honest. It's not my favorite, but
I love that I totally sidetracked you.
I know. And here we go off on this little tangent.
Okay. But back to the Go-Givers. Sorry.
But it was great. Yeah. So anyways, the book's amazing. If you haven't read it, get it, read it. We'll put a link down below where you can click that link. And I now have an affiliate link with Amazon. So you can click that link and I'll get a little kickback. So pretty amazing. So I know I'm learning how to monetize everything because why not? It's pretty easy.
Now I'm totally distracted by your ferret in the background. I can see your ferret.
She's grounded.
Jumping around in the background.
She's grounded.
We've had ferrets in the background. We've had cats jumping in light modifiers. We're off to a good start.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Okay, well, let's jump in, Neal, to this.
Yeah, so the Go-Givers. Now, I want to say that the first time I heard the name, it totally sounded like a cheerleading squad. Go-Givers! But it's legit good. I loved it. I really loved it. It's really motivational and should inspire you to get out there and do more. The basic thing, there's a really cool story that it goes through that'll get you kind of engrossed in how the whole process really works. But we're just going to kind of go over the 5 laws of success and do our best to explain them a little bit, but you got to go listen after.
Yes.
Okay. So law number 1 is the law of value. Okay. And they even say this in the intro to the book, that these aren't like mind-blowing things, but there's some of these things you've kind of already known in the back of your head or from your childhood. There's all these principles you've always heard, but it's a matter of actually implementing them every day in what you do and being conscious of it. We probably do a lot of this already. You probably do, but just being conscious of it and will help you do it even more and bring good things. And I already feel good about it, even in just reading the book a few days ago. So number 1, the law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Okay. And these things are not all just talking directly about like, oh, I should give 50 more photos then. It's just really giving your all, everything that you can do, going above and beyond, always to just knock it out of the park. Your package might not change. You might still be delivering 30 photos for $200, whatever you're doing, but it's how you do it to go above and beyond every time to just make sure it's exceptional. The experience that you create, for example, when you're in the house, that you're doing the extra thing to say, hey, maybe would you mind if we just put the toothbrushes under the cabinet, or doing the walkthrough for the house when you get there, greeting everybody cordially before you just dive in and start doing your work,
Yes.
Being a human being.
Or
Right.
like offering to help move stuff. Like I went to this one house and there was a lot of patio furniture that was all shoved up against the back of the house with covers on everything.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and there was crap everywhere. And I went out there with the homeowner and the broker and we spent 15 minutes putting out the furniture. I didn't have to help. That wasn't my job. I could have been shooting the rest of the house, but I just thought, you know what, if I help them, I just want to help. Like I can help them do this quicker and we can arrange it the way it'll look the best. Like I'm just going to contribute my time. And I felt good doing that. And they were thankful and happy that I did. I remember the first time I learned about this concept of value add, like adding value. What does that mean? Like how I had this mentor, gosh, I probably met him like 6 years ago, and he hired me to do design photos for a builder. He was a creative director. And so we would work together at these photo shoots and he'd like restage and like move the cushions like 2 inches to the right and then be like, does that look right? And I'm like, I don't flipping know. Like, I'm not a stager, man. He's like, well, me neither. I'm like, you're the creative director. I just take the photo. Anyways, he was so great and like helping me to understand that I need to be charging more. He helped me with building my brand a little bit. And he always would say to me, how are you adding value to your clients? And I remember the first time he said that, and I was like, what does that even mean? Adding value to my clients? Like, I provide good service. He's like, yeah, but what value are you bringing to them? And it really started to sink in when I hopped onto social media and started putting out little reels and putting out information about my business. And it was like, what can I give to my brokers for free? Like, what educational content can I put out there to help them be better that's free of charge? Just add value content. So I do a lot of tips on business growth or running a team or organizational softwares or social media tips, or like, because I'm constantly learning, like reading books and learning new hacks and buying ridiculous courses and going through a quarter of them, all of that stuff. And if I can take what I learn and then in turn give it to my brokers to help them grow their business, it's like a win-win, right? So, and I'm giving that content free of charge. It's just something that my audience expects from me now. Like they follow me because they're getting something out of watching my content. Why do people want to follow you? Why should people continue to follow you on social media or continue to use your service? And a lot of the reason why people do is because they get something from you that you're just adding for free. You present it in a way that's more entertaining, more inspiring than the other person.
Right. You want them to say, Rach is my girl. She's my girl. And not even care about the competition, right? The competition's doing this, do that. Oh, that's cool, but Rach is my girl. She always does. That's what you want. If you just show up and you just take the photos, just do the job. That's it. Show up. Hi, I'm here to take photos, and leave. Anybody can do that. So what's stopping them from going and trying that other person? So
what's setting you apart, right? Like what's setting you apart, and that comes with how much more you give.
Yeah.
You give more than you get, I guess, is at the end of the day. And say please and thank you. Like be respectful. That's something that goes a long ways with a lot of people.
Deal. Yeah, totally big deal. And it's funny, you got to stop and think about it. Like, because you can get caught up in I got to hurry up and get this done quick so I can go do the next listing. Well, maybe just take a breath and go text that other person. I might be 15 minutes late. I really apologize, but I'm doing my best to get there on time and do the right job at the job you're at. You know what I mean? But take a second to do it well, because everybody deserves that. And in the book, there's a couple examples. There's like, I think it's a guy started out with a little hot dog stand, right? He was just selling hot dogs. But it was the way he did it, that there was just a line down the block. How do you outdo somebody with a hot dog cart? You outdo it by going above and beyond, he was doing it with relationships, with just like, he just remembered names. He remembered the name of the kid who came to the hot dog cart, and he remembered the name of the kid's best friend, and he remembered his favorite action hero. And the kids actually dragged their parents to the hot dog cart because they wanted to go, because he made him feel great. And it wasn't just about a hot dog, right? It was the experience he created. So that's how he created value above. He didn't have a fancier bun,
Right.
It was, So it's not just about, yes, do the work well, but go above and beyond, because everybody can eventually somebody has enough practice, they can get just as good as you at taking the photo. So what else is going to be different?
Exactly. And one little side note, not to get distracted, about being late.
Oh, I knew you were going to say, I saw it, the twinkle in your eye. I'm like, she's got to say this.
I hate being late to real estate shoots. Like,
Oh yeah.
it drives me nuts. I'm always like, if I'm 5 minutes early, I'm on time. And when I have to be late, like, you're late a lot because there's a lot of unknown things that pop up at a shoot, right? Or traffic or whatever, there's always something. But what I have really tried to give myself is a little bit more grace with being late. And the way that I justify it in my head is like, think about all the times that these brokers have changed shoots on me, have rearranged my schedule. I've bent over backwards, and every time that I tell them I'm going to be late, like I would say 9 out of 10 times, they're like, oh, that's great. I need 10 more minutes to get the house prepped.
That's true.
Or
That's
like,
true.
oh, I'm really glad that you couldn't be here on time because we had all this trash to pick up, like whatever.
Yep.
Or I'm running
Yep.
late too, so yeah, obviously try to be on time, but
Yes.
beat yourself up. I'm
But
learning to like let it go and be like, it's okay.
And there's more, and when you're getting stressed out about that, and then you're rushing in your car, I mean, you're causing problems for yourself. If nothing else, you're giving yourself a heartache, a heart attack. I don't know, heartache, heart attack, both.
Yeah, both.
And taking years off your life with that stress level. Breathe.
Exactly.
Just breathe for a minute, and remember, we're taking photos.
Exactly. Yeah, don't get a speeding ticket because that sucks.
Yeah, and then it's
another
just,
one, Neil.
you're just tanking it.
I haven't sped in like 2 months. Like I have been so good because I should
Now that you don't have a Maserati.
Yeah, well.
Oh, but now the electric car is probably even faster than the Maserati was, actually.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. It's not at all. Not even close.
No.
No, I got a ticket in it the first day I bought it.
Oh, you did?
I got the Cadillac Lyric, so it's full electric, little SUV. It's adorable. I love it. It's so comfortable. It's like my grandma car. It's my grandma's soccer mom
Really?
car.
It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like a grandma car.
It's not. but
Electric.
it's
How can an
Cadillac is
electric
like-
vehicle be a grandma car? Your grandma was real cool.
Because it's Cadillac, and Cadillac is like an old person car. Maybe it's not, but I always see older people, older demographic driving these cars. So I call it my grandma car, but I love it. It's the most comfortable car I've ever sat in. It's fantastic. But no, first day I got it. Well, I got it at night. And then the morning I was taking my daughter to school and she was late. And I was going 59 and a 35, just bombing down these back roads that I always speed on because there's never cops. And I went right by him. I was in sport mode. It felt like I was going 30 miles an hour. Like legit, this car just gets up there and you can't even feel it. So I got pulled over and the cop's like, do you know how fast you're going? I was like, yeah, I think like 55. And he was like 59. And I was like, oh gosh, my daughter's late for school. I'm like, this looks so bad. Just bombing down the road with my daughter in the car in the front seat. She's 11. Like,
oh no. You're like, officer, I'm sorry, these new electric cars.
That's what I told him.
I didn't know it was in sport mode.
I know. And that's what I said. I go, oh, I got to take it out of sport mode. I'm like, geez, it didn't even feel like I was going that fast. And he goes, I had to put mine in sport mode just to catch you.
Did he say that?
Yes. I was like,
that's awesome. Just to
like,
catch
can you please
you?
not give me please don't give me a ticket. Please don't give me a ticket.
Why is the police officer not ever in sport mode? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. He just was being funny. He was really nice. Like he obviously gave me a ticket and then he called me later that afternoon. He was like, I looked at your record and you don't have any other tickets, so you could get this deferred. I'm like, oh, I already called my lawyer and we're getting it taken care of. Thank you. Got the last two taken care of too. That's why there aren't any on my record.
See how a little charisma though. He actually was like, I can get her off. How can we do this?
I know, but he had already written the ticket after I'd like sweet talked him. So you got to sweet talk the cops when they first come to the door. Add some value. Just kidding.
That's right.
Okay, let's move on.
If you're gonna speed, go above and beyond.
Go above and beyond. Go extra fast.
Tell them about that sport mode. Nice.
Goodness.
All right, so
I drive in eco mode.
Yeah, drive in eco mode.
Stop redlining, Rachel.
Even when you're late, make sure you're in eco mode.
Yes.
All right. So law of compensation is second. And again, this sounds obvious, but let me just read it to you. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So it sounds a little redundant, like, yes, go above and beyond. But the big part from this is the quantity of people you serve. And so there's a good example in the book that I love. And I was like, oh, yeah. Some people are always like, well, why do actors in movies make so much money? And that's where it comes from, is because think of all the people that their message gets to from that movie. They're impacting millions of people. So they get paid more, right?
Billions of dollars.
Right. And the same reason why people are making tons, like people have their own toy line in Toys R Us because of all the people they influenced, they were able to touch through YouTube from doing silly videos or whatever. The more people you can serve. And they compared it to being a teacher. You're like, well, teachers are, should be getting paid more. But the problem there is the conventional teacher is in a classroom with 25 kids. That's how many people they're affecting a year, those 25 kids. So they just don't have enough, right, to make more money. So, if they go ahead and decide to quit their job, or in addition teach online maybe and grow following, then all of a sudden now they're expanding, the people that they're affecting, that they're influencing, the people that they're able to help and give to, and then you can start to make more money. It sounds obvious, but it's like, oh yeah, it does. So we can only help so many agents directly. So how are you going to make more money as a real estate photographer? You need to find a way to reach more people. And that could be through YouTube, or that could be through Instagram, or that could be through growing your business bigger. But you're only going to be able to do so much firsthand like that, walking up to their door.
Exactly. No, 100%. And I think part of it too, like you can reach more people if you hire a team. If you start hiring more shooters, you can serve more people, start reaching more people, right? And you'll determine that when you're ready.
Right. And you got to determine too, it doesn't mean that's what you have to do. There are ways, but something to consider if you want to make more money. Maybe you want to grow a team, maybe you don't, but maybe there's another way that you can give what you have to give to help people. Find a way to amplify it, to get it to more people.
Yes, and you will make more money.
You make more, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right. The law of influence. Okay. Your influence is determined by how
abundantly.
Thank you. I couldn't read the word. Did you see, if you're watching on YouTube, my head went back like, what's the word? On my glasses
are not working.
They're still not working. Yeah. How abundantly you place other people's interests first. So other people's interest first. And that's really important.
Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first.
And this is a hard one to get in your head. Okay. You might be a person who's just like this and do it all the time. I think we all have a little of this, but we also have a lot of, we're trying to make money for our family. We're trying to make money for ourselves. Right. And so it's like when you're first making sales calls, if you ever had a sales job where you had to dial for dollars and you call up and they pick up the phone and the first question you've got is something about how they can help you. What's their reaction going to be? They're not going to be very interested. They're just want to hang up that phone, right? Right. Hey, I'm wondering if you'd be interested in buying. It's like, no, I'm good. Thanks. Later. I got no interest in talking to you. But if you've actually got an interest in helping them, if you call somebody and say, hey, question for you. What is the roadblock for you right now in your business? What is slowing you down? How could I help you alleviate that pain point? Tell me what it would be. And I would love to come up with a solution. All of a sudden people are listening and going, this guy wants to help me. He didn't say anything about him. He's just, how can I help? Well, my problem is, whatever. I don't have a fast enough turnaround. I don't get good enough quality photos. I'm not getting enough content for social media. Neal, which one of my clients told me on our podcast, because we asked, right? But we were asking them, I didn't have my own agenda on it. It is a hard one to put yourself out of the equation and really go to somebody and see how you can help them. But if you do that, you're going to get a more sincere reaction. You're going to get a better reaction from them, and they're going to start talking to you. And out of that, maybe there's a way you can help them in some way. And it might not directly, because we're always thinking, but how do we get money out of that? It may not directly be monetary. They might tell you something that you don't have a solution to, but maybe you can help them with a referral or lead them in the right direction. And that is going to help them succeed. It is that positive thing that you're putting forward, that you're helping that person, that you may never, you may never see the result firsthand from that. You may never know, But I'm going to tell you, when you get off of that phone call, you're going to feel good. And if nothing else, you're going to feel good about helping that person. And the next call is going to go even better because guess what? You're feeling great, and you should, because you're doing great.
Exactly. And it can create that trickle effect of good deeds. Like if you put that good deed out there, someone else might do the same, and it just keeps going. So yeah, I think it's really important to put yourself in the other person's shoes as well and kind of try to understand where they're coming from. I think so many of like the misunderstandings that we have with our client is that we just don't understand why they're acting the way they are, or what their expectations are. Like the communication isn't fully there, and maybe we just don't take the time to fully understand their side before making judgment. So if we really start, like, take your ego out of it and just really start caring more for others than you do for yourself, it's amazing how that will reciprocate and come back to you, because if you're putting out good into the world, you're going to get good back.
Rach, I got to interject.
Okay.
Do you remember the days before you had HD Photo Hub and you had to stay up at all hours chatting to people about getting things booked and all of this ridiculous stuff that we don't have to deal with anymore?
Yeah, the back and forth emails, like, how about 10 o'clock on Tuesday? Oh, can you do 9? No, but I can do 9:30. Okay, an hour later, I've got a shoot scheduled.
Right.
Yes. And thank goodness I found HD Photo Hub, because they have changed my life and my business for the better. Like, seriously, no joke. I would not be able to run my business the way I do without them.
Yeah, no, it saved me so much. And before I had an admin, it was my admin. It's still one of my admins. Don't tell.
So Neal, they even have a white labeled app that you can download from the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. And it's white labeled, meaning that you put your branding on it. So it will show up with your business name, all your colors, your fonts, and your clients can order shoots directly from their phone. They can post directly from their dashboard to social media. So no more of the struggle of like, how do I get these photos onto my phone to get them on Instagram? Because that's a pain in the butt.
And that is so sticky is the word. But seriously, when it's something is easy to do for these agents, they don't want to learn another way. So once they've got your app in their hands, that's how they want to book. Instead of the other guy that got to do some, run through hoops and stuff.
Call them up.
Yeah. Call them and talk to them.
Who wants to call anyone on the phone? I don't want to call anyone on the phone. I want to do it on an app.
I got a fancy app and I'm doing it that way.
That's right. Yep.
No, it's pretty sick.
If you guys want to try out the app, there's a killer deal from HD Photo Hub on your configuration call. If you tell them that Shooting the Shit sent you, they will give you 33% off of your app. That is
what?
1,000 credits versus 1,500 credits. And this is a one-time payment, one and done. Do it. It's going to change your business. It's going to change your clients' lives. They're going to love you for it.
And you're going to look good doing it.
Mic drop. Boop. All right. Let's get back to the episode.
Right. Rachel sent me this really cool podcast as well. We should put that.
V1.
We should put a link to that as well. It was this preacher who's great. Oh my gosh, he's so good. I'm not like I don't sit and I never listen to. Well, actually, once in a while I've had that. Whatever that cable, when we had cable, every once in a while at like 2 a.m. the church thing would come on for Sunday.
Would you watch Daystar?
I don't know. There was some guy, he was pretty charismatic. And every now and again, I'd be like, all right, I'm listening. I'll just listen. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. And sometimes it's some pretty cool messages I caught. But I'm not like, you don't have to be I go to church every week kind of person to listen to this guy. You don't have to go to church at all. If you can just for a minute go like forget about that piece and just listen. He is really great the way he talks about this stuff. And I remember him saying something about, I'll probably butcher it, but hopefully Rachel will link this. But I remember him saying something about like, it's amazing how when I ask, people to do yada yada, 100 people show up. And then when I say, who can volunteer to hand out food for the homeless this Saturday, 5 people show up. Because what's in it for them. But what he says about that is like, and I guess he's a personality. I'd never heard of him, but I guess he's like well known. I would assume he is from how good he is at the preaching he does.
He's got campuses all over. Like he's massive. They came out with a movie recently. Like he is just like they're
And
delivering people. I mean, it's pretty amazing what they're doing at that church. Yeah. I'm like,
and I love that he
love
just
it.
said, like, when I'm there handing out the food, the people there are not going, oh, that preacher or whoever coming to help me out. They don't care. They just know this is the guy who helps me out and gives me food on Saturday or whatever it is. And what he's doing there is just about giving. He's not open. What is this guy going to give back to me? He's just doing it to give. And I think it was that day. And then he has some other like Sunday or whatever, where he just has to do all of this stuff. And he's always kind of dreading it a little bit. I feel like, I think that's what he said. Going into it, probably because it's just, we all have these things where it's a ton of work and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so much. I hope I'm going to succeed. I hope I'm going to do well. And you're kind of, half of you is like, I'm just going to lay in bed sick today instead. But he says, by the end of that day, whatever this day is, I'm butchering all this, you have to listen to it. That at the end of that day, he feels recharged. All he's done is give to everybody all day long, but he never feels better. At the end of the day, he's just like totally recharged. It's amazing. And so you got to listen to that one too.
Yeah,
but
and what's funny is like that, and then this book came up again, and I started, like, they just went hand in hand. It's like God always presents himself to me in coincidences. Like, those are my little signs, and they happen all the time. And this one was like, that was released. I was listening to this book, and then we did this podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, these things are just like hand in hand. It's just all in front of my face. Like, obviously I'm on the right track here. Like, we'll just keep cruising on.
And that was so good. Literally my reaction at the end of that, you got to give it a chance and listen. Cause at the end I was just like, damn.
It's hard. Like,
he's impressive too.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull punches.
Stories.
He doesn't pull punches, and he's not frou-frou nicey. He's like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
It's like, come on, somebody. I'm getting somebody right now. And it's like, oh, digging in the knife.
And somebody's me.
Yep.
So anyway, that's cool. But so the next
wait, before we move on, I have one more thing to say. So Dan Redwine, co-founder of the Master Plan, we had him on an episode. He told me this tip that I have started using, which I think is amazing. When you call a friend or when you meet a client, whenever you start a conversation with someone, ask them 3 questions before you start talking about yourself. It's just like a good rule of thumb to like show them that you care about them. And once you start doing it, it becomes second nature. But just opening it up with caring more about other people than about yourself, I think is a great way to kind of go about things.
Yeah, and it's easy to go on a run all about you, and that never feels good after either. If you're like, did I just talk about myself the whole time?
I just spent 10 minutes rambling on about my life.
Gross.
This happened. They didn't even ask.
They don't want to talk to me again.
Right. They don't want to be my friend anymore.
I don't think we're friends anymore. No, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Oh, and one example in the book too, real quick. Sorry, I keep interrupting. We can't go on to 4 yet. The old gentleman.
Wow, it takes a long time for them to get through 5 points.
I know. We said this is going to be kind of a quick one, but it's never quick, Neal. Too long-winded. But yeah, so he is like, he's been married for like 50 years. And the kid in the story asks him, like, what's your secret to your successful marriage? Like, you've been married for 50 years. And he said, this is going to sound, I don't know what he said. This is going to sound weird or whatever. He goes, but I care more for my wife than I care about myself. And she does the same for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you actually went forward and lived your life that way, like actually genuinely caring about the well-being of your other spouse than being selfish and worrying about yourself, like imagine how much better your relationship would be. Which my husband, honest to God, is like a saint, and he has mastered this. I still working on this. But he's a great example. I'm always like, gosh, how is he always so nice? Like, he's always so good to me. And that's so true. Like, just living with it, I get it. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, the preacher guy had that point about that's just how we are. We're me. That's your number one priority is you surviving. So, but he's like, the secret is changing the focus onto other people. And that's when you really start to do great things and really thrive and survive and be happy and fulfilled. You get, when you're doing me and you get the cars and you get to this and you get to that and then you're rich and you're famous and whatever, and we know all these people and we're like, really, they weren't happy still? No, because they were me. And if you can go,
you can't bring it with you. I mean, all of the money is not going to be able to go with you.
I don't know about you guys, but the stuff I I cherish the most is like all those years I was able to do summer camp and making all those kids laugh their asses off. I mean, that's the stuff that I know, like I did one good thing. Like, and that's the crap of value, right?
Exactly.
So,
That's it
all right,
right
the
there.
law of authenticity. All right. And so this kind of goes into the whole, it's hard, especially when you're thinking, we're talking about business and what's business. Business is money. And even in the book, they go into this too. Is this whole like, okay, I grade all these ideas are great, but how does that turn into money? And if you're always, again, thinking about how's that going to help me, that's not really authentic. So you really want to be doing these things for other people's best interests, not because you're going, okay, I helped them, so now they owe me one, right? It can't always be that in the back of your head. They said, let go of the, what did they say? Like the checklist, or let it go, forget about it, just drop it. Because we all do that. We go, oh, well, I did that nice thing for them, so they kind of owe me one, or I did, I gave them a freebie on that last one, or and so you're waiting for the payback. You
Mhm.
got to just, if you're really going to succeed with this whole process and just giving, it has to be giving to give,
With no
helping to
expectation.
help
Yeah.
without an expectation of what you're going to receive, because
Yep.
then you're not really being authentic and you're not really doing the thing. You're
Yeah.
not doing it.
So like give it and then just release it. Just let it be.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
expectation that
Right.
anything's going to come back from it. But
Right.
guarantee you, if you do that, you're probably going to see some things start coming your way.
I
I've seen
mean,
it a lot. It's
I
pretty
see the people that I see out there that are like this. How can you not want to help them back?
right.
How can you not want to see them succeed more?
Right.
You just, they're great at what they do. I just saw them go like 10 miles above what anybody else does, and I don't even know why they did it. They just did it because I could tell it was genuinely what they thought was the right thing to do.
Hmm.
If I know anybody that needs what that person does, I'm referring them.
Exactly.
It's got nothing
Exactly.
to do with me even, and I'm gonna do it. Like this, one of the agents I work with, she did her super appreciation event. Soup spelled like the soup because she gives out soup and bread and stuff from this local
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
restaurant and everything like that. And she's like, oh man, there was like 4 people who were sick and couldn't come and didn't want to come because they didn't want to get people sick, with all COVID awareness and whatnot. Like you got a sniffle, you can't go anywhere. My reaction, honestly, would probably be like, oh, that stinks. Well, maybe we'll just give this soup to 2 soups to somebody. But no, her reaction is, and it's like 8 o'clock and the event's over. She's like, all right, so let's take these soups and deliver them to those people who couldn't come.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
so
what?
nice.
I'm
Like, oh
like,
my gosh, after your
yes.
event, you're exhausted, but you took the time to
Yeah.
go deliver soup to
Oh,
these
yeah.
sick people who couldn't
She
come.
went and delivered the soup
Wow.
to the people who weren't feeling well. And the rest of the extra soup that she had, she dropped off at the fire department.
Jeez, what a saint.
And I'm sure she's not a saint, like that's the other
Well,
thing.
I
It's like,
mean,
you know what
but
I mean? But everyone else does that too, right? But it's
yeah.
like, no, but like, it's amazing though. Like, honestly, I genuinely was like, oh yeah, duh. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's a nice
That's
thing
so
to do.
cool. But who
Yeah,
out of 10 people, one did that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
if there was 10 people in the same scenario, I think 1 out of 10 would go hand deliver those. Do you know what I mean?
Seriously. Yeah,
Yeah.
most people will be like, oh, whatever, we'll just take it home for leftovers or give it to, like you
And
said,
you
to
just,
the
and
people.
it's just how she is. Like, she's just genuinely, that was her reaction. It wasn't like a,
Awesome.
what's in this for me? It was literally like, well, they're sick. Who needs more soup than sick people? Like, let's go,
Yeah.
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 So
I think
those are the people.
part of this too about authenticity and like the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself is like how unique you are and your personality and your little quirks that make you who you are. Like I cannot tell you how many times I've like wanted to do a post on social media or something and I just get in my own head and I'm like, no, that's too weird. Like, I can't do it. Like it's so many roadblocks that I put up around fear and like
Mhm.
belittling myself in my own head. Like I've gotten over a lot of that, but it takes time and practice, but it's all of us are kind of putting out the same content. We're selling the same services. We were talking earlier about like how do you set yourself apart by adding value?
Mhm.
What kind of value are you adding? Well, it's also about your authenticity and how true you are to your own personality, your own beliefs, your core values, like all of those things that make up who you are as a person are really what set you apart and make you authentically you, because you are the only version of you, and you might be selling something and teaching it in one way, like the same stuff that everyone else is teaching, but the way that you tell it, the stories that you tell are going to be different. Your examples are going to be different, and you're going to attract your tribe and the people, like your target audience, the people that want to work with you, that can identify with all of your same things. Like maybe I have chickens, right? So I already have attracted like 2 people on Instagram who have reached out, and they're in like, you know, the design world, or and one's a builder, and he's like, oh, I have chickens too. And now I have a conversation going with this guy, and we haven't talked business at all. We just talked chickens, but now we're kind of on each other's radar, right? Like, and just, that's just a lead through posting about my chickens. And that's part of my life. You know what I mean? So I have a story today. I was doing lifestyle photos for.
How do you just throw out designers and chickens in the same conversation and then move on?
Well, we're done with that thought. Okay, moving on, because I have a good example of this. So today I did lifestyle photos for a client, and we're in Seattle. Seattle is pretty, we're not supposed to talk about politics on the podcast, but it's pretty liberal. And my client wears a cross necklace with wedding rings on it. And he's very weird about, he doesn't want to show his necklace, and he doesn't want to show his tattoos in his photos. And he's very particular about that. And I'm like, dude, just show them. Like, it is who you are. You're going to attract your tribe if you're showing the real you. And the gal that I was shooting was like, that's why I love you, Rachel. She's like, you're always just telling us to be ourselves and encouraging us and lifting us up. And I'm like, it's true though. You want to attract the people that you want to work with. And if you're hiding who you are, like, I understand as brokers, you want to appeal to everyone. And like, you got to be sensitive in this area to not offend certain groups or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of politics out there, but at the same time, like, be you, attract your tribe. You're going to attract the people that are like you. And those are the ones that you want in your circle that you're working with.
Yeah. And you don't want, why do you even want to attract the person that's not okay with that thing that is you?
Exactly.
Why you want to, why do we don't need to work with those people?
Yeah.
It's funny. I know it's because we're so afraid of not doing as well as we could do. But if you're just genuine, you're going to do better. Yeah, we try to tell this to all our agents, and we got to do the same thing. I try to tell my agents, there's a million real estate agents out there. Why are they going to pick you instead of somebody else? You should be doing social media content because people, your tribe's going to gravitate to you because they genuinely like you, and you help them with whatever you're delivering that's above and beyond to help them, and they're going to want to work with you instead of somebody else. So yeah, we definitely got to show them who we are.
Exactly.
I'm a goof burger.
Let your
not a
freak
word, but
flag
it is now.
fly, buddy. Let your freak flag fly, Neal.
I know. It is hard.
I know you don't have a problem with that, Neal.
No, I do. I do. Even me, I worry about doing funny. No, for example, on social media stuff, because it's my business, I worry about, is it too far? You know, it's funny, like, because I still have like, oh, it's still a business. Am I too goofy in that? Are they going to think like, oh, is he any good because he's so ridiculous and silly, but can he compose himself on a job site? So there's always a little of that you cannot avoid. But, you know, there is some, you got to stay within some boundaries, I feel like. But I also feel like I need to break some of them too. So who knows? But yeah. I want to talk more about chickens and designers.
Can we just break real quick to talk about my lighting situation? Okay, I have my podcast studio, my studio downstairs. I finally got a Murphy bed. So, because I have this workout room / gym. Well, it's my gym / guest room / recording studio. So I've got like no room. So I used to have to like flip the bed up against the wall to record. So I got a Murphy bed. It comes next week. And I got all these like hexagon sound panel things that go on the wall, and I put them up in this cool shape. They all fell off the wall. So I was supposed to have my new setup today, but the lighting is like so bad in here. So I don't know how to make it better. I can't figure it out. But anyways, it doesn't matter because half of you don't even watch. You just listen. I'm like, is that better? That's not better. So
now they're going to watch. Now they're going to watch. It's the people that want to see the car wreck.
And it's a train wreck.
Rubberneckers. Check it out. Rachel's a mess today.
But I have the fire flickering in the background. It's lovely. Lovely.
Oh, yes,
so,
it is.
anyways, I will have my new setup hopefully next week. I'm excited. Okay, I don't know why I told you that, but anyways, I was feeling insecure about my ugly lighting because Neal always looks perfect over there.
Yeah, things people never said about Neal. Neal just looks perfect today.
Lighting is on point every week.
Lighting, yeah.
I got to catch up to that. All right, number 5 is receptivity. Yes. So the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. which this one is.
This is a hard one to like describe, but it's a big deal. And it's like, what does that even mean? I feel like the key of effective giving is to stay open to receiving. But it is a hard one, actually. A lot of us, I think, have a hard time with it's probably easier to give than it is to actually accept from other people, because there's some kind of, I think pride's a big part of it, right? But here's the thing. If you can't accept, then they can't give. Right?
And there's a receiver on the end of every giver. So like whoever's giving, there is someone receiving. So, and a lot of this goes back to like some of the core foundation of your business. And when you first start out, you know, it's important that you have a strong foundation to your business so that you can build on that and have all the basics in place, right? Like of your brand. So you've got like your core values, your brand colors, you have your target market, like your strategies all in place. Then another part of that is to have the mindset. And a big part of the mindset is to dream big and to be curious, to believe in yourself, and to just like envision yourself 10 times more successful and better and receiving more than where you actually are currently in this state. And that, just that positive thinking, like we were talking about, it's all like the manifestation stuff. If you've ever listened or studied on manifestation, it's all about visualizing yourself in the future and speaking as if you already have those things. So like you're basically speaking it into existence, and whatever we talk about and put out there, we will get back in return. So it all goes back to like, give a lot, right? You're going to get a lot. It's like whatever you put out there, you're going to get back. So dreaming big, staying open-minded, and knowing that you are deserving of these things is huge. Because I think a lot
deserving
of times,
of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we block things from coming into us because we feel like we're not deserving of it.
Right. The whole, like, if you think about red cars on the way to your job, how many red cars you're going to see, and if you don't, you're not going to see any red cars. And it's the same thing with receiving. If you're open to it and you're actively going, hey, I'm open to receiving from the world, from whoever, whatever is coming my way, then you're going to notice the things that are opportunities that could come your way too, right? You're just going to be there. You're going to be in that peace of mind. And I love in the book, they kind of talk a little bit about, there's a couple comparisons. One of them is the opposites I love. It's like human beings breathe out carbon monoxide and,
I
and
loved
breathe,
this one.
breathe in oxygen, right? And all the trees and plants do the opposite, right? There's this yin and yang everywhere, right? And this whole idea, like, you can't hold your breath. You have to. You can't just only take in deep breaths, right? You can't just take in. You can't just take in. You got to exhale in order to live. So you have to give and you have to receive to thrive, right?
Yeah, and be open to receiving.
Yeah, be open to it. I really think there's a lot there, because I think so many times it's funny. We don't always think about it that way. There's so many times where somebody might have offered you something, and what's your first reaction? Like, you go to somebody's house, hey, you want a cookie? My first reaction is, no, I'm fine. And then in my head I go, why did I just say no to a cookie?
I do that all the time. People offer me all kinds of food on shoots. They're like, oh, do you want me to buy you coffee? I'm like, no, I'm good. And then I'm like, why didn't I say yes? Like,
yeah. And then they ask you again, like, sure you don't want a cookie? And you're like, yeah, I do want a cookie. Well, but that is ingrained into us. I don't know what it is, but
it's like common courtesy to not put people out. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, I don't want to be a hassle. I don't want to like take their cookie from them or make them stop to give me coffee. Like,
now picture this little grandma who just made a bunch of fresh cookies and gets so much joy from seeing the smile on somebody's face when she gives you a cookie and she says, you want a cookie? And you say no. Knock it off and take the cookie.
Take the damn cookie.
Take the damn cookie. But it's like, there's opportunities like that. There's also people who are in a better place than we are, like maybe to give us something, or a different place than we are to give us something. And to us, we have this perception that, oh geez, that's more that I could accept. Like, you feel bad about accepting that. But to them, it's like, I am in a position that I can help you. For example, I go to lunch with a buddy of mine who does really well for himself. And I've felt bad about not picking up the check, right? And he's like, dude, can I just do this? Can I just do this for you? This is a nice thing that I like to do, is I just want to buy lunch. And I'm like, okay, you can buy lunch. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good example. What the hell? Let him buy the lunch. You know what I mean?
Yep,
He's in a
like,
position where he can do things that doesn't phase him at all. Let him buy the lunch, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. No, it's funny. Like 2022, I think I spent more money on meals, like twice as much on meals in 2022. I was buying
Mhm.
lunch for everyone. Everywhere I go, I just throw my card out and pay for it. Like I didn't care. It was just like, oh, I got it. Don't worry about it. Like it was just something I did, right? And then in 2023, I noticed everybody started picking up my tab. Every time we go, oh no, I'm getting this one. I'm getting it. And I was like, are you sure? I'm like, geez, I even told my husband, I'm like, I don't think I've paid for a meal in like 6 months. I'm like, this is crazy. And I honestly believe I put it out there and then it all came back. It's
Yeah.
like, and I
Yeah.
did it without expecting them to pay next time. It was like, I would still pay next time. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but they,
You gotta tell that story about your shoes, Rachel. That's a great example of
oh, okay.
somebody who could do something nice for you.
Yeah.
But if you said no, you'd never have had that nice experience from it, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I have some magic shoes. So right after I got divorced, like, I don't know, a month or two after I got divorced, I was on a tight budget and my best friend came into town. She lived in Texas at the time. So she flew up and she wanted to take me shopping. And at this time, like I was not spending a lot of money at all on clothing or shoes. I was never into designer shoes. Like I couldn't afford them. I thought it was crazy to spend $1,000 on a pair of shoes. She came up and she said, hey, I want to take you to Nordstrom and I want to buy you a pair of shoes. Your budget is $750. And I about died. It was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I think you should get a pair of like high heels, classic high heels that you can wear forever. And they'll just be, a nice pair of heels for you and you'll feel good when you wear them. And I was sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm like, are you sure? This is a lot of money. And she was like, yes, I want to do this for you. And I was like, wow. And then of course my bargain brain is like, I could buy 7 pairs of shoes with $750.
Yeah.
But of course I can't ask that. She wants me to get the nice ones. And I had like,
Can we go to Marshall's instead?
I can get like 14 pairs if we go to Marshall's. Be like, no, you're not getting anything. Anyways, so I wanted heels, but I had a torn tendon in my ankle at the time. So I really couldn't wear heels. It like hurt physically to walk with them. So I ended up asking, I'm like, hey, do you think it'd be okay if I just got tennis shoes? And she was like, girl, get whatever you want. So I got these $750 tennis shoes that are like off-white, snake skin, whatever. And I was a cycle instructor at the time on a busted ankle, but I didn't know what was wrong with it at the time. And so I would wear these shoes into my cycle classes, literally like in little leggings and sweatshirt and these fancy shoes. And I would feel like $1,000,000 every time I wore these shoes. They made me feel so good. I felt so special and so loved that she thought of me and wanted to get me something special that I would love. And it just was such like a nice gesture for her to give those to me openly. And yeah, so just a nice
she was
thing.
only able to give and get a lot out of that, I'm sure, from doing those cool things because you were able to accept it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Which is funny, but it's a challenge.
Yeah. And I could have refused. I could have been like, absolutely not. You are not spending that money on me. Like, I do not want you to do that. But I was like, okay. I mean, this is like a dream come true. Like, is this really happening to me? That's amazing.
That's cool.
Thank you.
No, that is cool. I know. And I would be in my head because I'm in my head buying with my own wallet going like, oh, this is too much, or I don't deserve this, or whatever.
Exactly.
Let the world give and you give what you can give.
Yes. And that friend, Neal, is the one who introduced me to V1 Church. So the gifts keep on coming. Yeah. And we have influenced each other spiritually. And yeah, and we've both become really strong Christians. And it's pretty amazing. So I'm really proud of her.
Cool.
Anyways.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. Was there anything else out of that you wanted to say?
I do have one more thing to add. So I have talked to you guys that I have a course that I've been working on for like, I don't know, 2 years now. I do have a free lead magnet out there right now. It's a free giveaway for brokers. It's 10 free listings or 10 free hooks for your next listing. If you guys want to grab that for yourself, you can just go to my Instagram at Focused Media Collective. And then I also have a worksheet and a little video to walk you guys through it's a dream big exercise. And it just helps you to brainstorm ideas of what you want your future to look like. There's some question prompts in there. So if you guys want that, I'll put that down in the description below. But that's part of the course. It's part of the foundation of setting up your brand. And yeah, it's a good one. It sounds cheesy. It's always like, oh, really? Do I have to sit down here and like journal and write? But it helps for you to write it down. When you write things down, it kind of ingrains it in your brain, and it's just a different way for you to process that information. And it will help you to just start thinking about it and dreaming about it, so those things can actually come back to you and make it happen. You got to think about it and dream big and like remove all the roadblocks. Like, Neal, what if you had $1 million? Okay, that's a little amount now in this crazy world. What if you had $1 billion and you could go anywhere you wanted? You had no job. You had, your kids could just pick up and go. Where would you go?
Well, where would I go? Well, at first I get a couple cool vacations out of the way, and I would bring the family to the basics, Disney World, somewhere tropical. I got to go to Hawaii. I do all that stuff. But after I was done with that, and the point where you get bored and go, okay, I've traveled to these places. That was fun, but it's not really something that's probably going to fulfill you to feel whole, right? After that, then I'm looking into things I can do for, honestly, I would love to have a ridiculous place for a summer camp that just
an island. You could have
like an
that
island.
Sounds a little creepy. An island for kids.
Right, I know. That's always my concern, though. Honestly, it's always my concern.
Don't do it on an island.
How do you have a big thing, but then also make sure that all the kids are safe?
Right.
Like it is a big deal. But can you imagine? Just like I've never thought about an island before, but I've thought of more like somewhere rural that has like a lake where you could do zip lines that go like out over the lake and all that stuff with like the classic like cabins and all that, like the girls' side and the guys' side. So, all that crazy fun, like stuff like that, and have it be so that it's funded somehow, but also have the opportunity for people who wouldn't normally be able to afford to go to that kind of summer camp, because it's usually pretty expensive, can also go to that kind of summer camp, because it's such a cool experience to go to summer camp, and and always to have it a safe space for kids. I was always a big thing for me growing up. Like there's bullies and there's all this stuff. Growing up is hard, right? So just have an environment where you just support people to be the weirdo that they are, and like fly your freak flag, because I'm going to be there being the biggest freak of all. Nobody's embarrassed when I'm there, because they're like, well, I ain't that bad. You know what I mean? So yeah, that kind of environment, that's what I would do with $1 billion. I would get that rolling, and who knows where it would go from there. But that's phase one.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. All right. So if you want to do that little worksheet, module, whatever, it's down below in the description. So you can click that link.
Cool.
Yeah. And the course is happening. I'm working on it like a couple days a week.
I'm excited.
So it's all
Stuff's
about
coming out.
Yeah. It's getting brokers on social media and photographers. So it's learning the basics of how to use social media for your business. So if we'll walk through explaining reels, explaining your strategy, learning how to do your messaging, learning how to do a story post and how to get more engagement on your stories. Like there's gonna be a lot in there. I'm excited. And I'm pretty sure I'm just going to release it in little mini courses as I go, because completing the whole thing is going to take forever. So I'm just going to start dripping things out there. So be on the lookout. It's coming.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Like
yeah. Awesome. Well, Neal, this has been a great podcast. You had a Jim Carrey quote that we need to put on your wall. And then I think we should let these people get back to their day.
My Jim Carrey quote. I love this.
Yeah.
This is a great quote. And I don't know if we've read it on another podcast. If we have, you have to suffer through it. Okay. Yes. I don't know. Maybe we have, but it's worth hearing twice. The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart. Jim Carrey.
Agreed.
So
100.
Get out there and do good things, because it's the only thing that at the end of the day, when the last sunset goes down, but seriously, you're going to be like, yep, I did the thing. I'm cool.
Yeah. And it's going to help your business grow and succeed. I mean, honestly, that is one of the main things that has helped my business grow. I think is just that I care about people. I want them to succeed. And Neal, you too. It's like you take care of your people. You're good people helping good people, and it's a win-win for everybody.
I genuinely give a damn. It's funny that Actually, that's the last thing I'll say this week, where I was at a shoot and there's 3 people from the brokerage there. Sometimes they kind of team up and do stuff together. And the agent's like, oh yeah, there's only one weird thing in the backyard, Neal. There's like these weird bricks out in the yard. And they were just like strewn in the yard. And we're looking at like, what? And I think it was like maybe a brick oven or something. It maybe fell apart at some point and they're just bricks laying around. So I'm just like, I'll go out. Let's go pick him up. I'll pick him up. So I go out and one of the other agents go with me. Super nice guy who totally goes above and beyond all the time. And I just know he's going to be successful. He's just getting going. And this last year, he really picked up steam. And I'm like, yes, it makes sense because he's always there. He's always doing what he should be doing. Even when he didn't have listings, he was helping other people. He's just great. So anyway, we're out there picking up bricks together in the backyard, stacking them up neatly and whatever, and just laughing and whatever. And we go and we do our video shoot. And we're all just laughing our asses off, having a great time and whatever. And so after that, though, totally to my surprise, he sent me this text, and I'm going to terribly paraphrase and butcher it, but he sent me a text and he said something like, hey man, I just want to let you know, like, it truly shows that you love the work that you do. And what was his wording? Something to the effect of, the experience that you create with your work is unparalleled. Something like that. Do you know what I mean? Something about like, not just about it wasn't about the work. It was about the being there and the effort behind it, and that I enjoyed it and could tell it somehow created this, like, we like working with Neal, you know? So that was cool. It was cool.
And if you didn't enjoy your job, you wouldn't take the time to help him pick up those bricks. You'd be on to the next. You really wouldn't want to do that. So
yeah. And we put, we put in the extra effort with just doing everything, doing the video, doing, taking that extra take and telling me, you know what? Maybe that wasn't the winner. Let's just do one more instead of just being like, let's move on.
Yeah,
like
that's
just
good.
putting in the extra effort. And when you actually enjoy it, it does show. So so have some fun. Take the time to enjoy it as well, and that matters too. So
exactly, yeah,
cool.
I know. I did a reel with clients today, and it was like I'm like, we need a call to action at the end, and they're like, what? I'm like, you got to do a call to action. So they did one, and I was like, it can be better. Let's redo it. It's like, let's get this right, guys. Taking that time, and they were like, we love you. Thank you for helping us. I'm like, of course. And it wasn't even planned. It was just like impromptu. I'm like, all right, we're doing it. Let's go. So anyways, do what's right for your people. Help them out. You scratch their back. They will eventually scratch yours, but don't expect it. But be open to receiving and be yourself. Be authentic. Am I missing anything?
I think, no.
Oh, and reach a lot of people. Because your compensation is determined by how many people you reach.
If you want to make more money, that's what you got to do.
Yes.
Get them peeps.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. Check the description below. There's lots of links for you. Go get this book. It is amazing. You'll love it. And we will catch you on the next episode of the podcast.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye.